I'll tell every man in the world, do not fuck with a popular girl. Do not fuck with a popular girl. I've done it before.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm saying I'm slightly disappointed in 50 Cent is because I bigged him up on his show about him being the king troll of them all. And he's being out trolled right now by Akademiks, and I can't believe he's so quiet. Right? Because Ak is literally, like, he's even shocked. Like, yo, let me crack for 10? Like, he's shocked. Like, he's probably like, this nigga girl is an airhead. She's an airhead, but you should not have babies with airheads. And I think that's probably why he's not responding. As I talk about it more, he can't. He's like, man, 50 Cent is considered top 3 smartest men in hip-hop history. You know, like, and you pick her to have a
I know me, I'm anti-tricking, but I ain't gonna lie, that's the first time I talk to a chick. Yo, bro, she's a pro. Like, I see why she got 50, Diddy, all of them. Almost got me, almost logged into my account and sent her some bread. Like, yo, she make you feel all good inside. If you ugly, she make you feel like you cute.
Bro, but you know, Akademiks gonna get off that Henny bottle. He gonna get on the stream and he gonna start typing up, searching everything and go off on them rants. He gonna put them under that microscope, like, and he gonna get his whole minions on 50 head. So I think 50, like,
I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, he like, if Ak have a scandal, like you were saying, then I think he will start trolling him.
I let you know, 50, take it like a player. You had a child from a sex worker. I mean, she a sex worker.
I just want to say this. If you're a man, don't be with a woman that's impressed by what you have. Be with a woman that's impressed by you. Because if you're with a woman that's impressed by what you have, someone can always impress her and get in a room with her. And when a man crowns a woman a wife, ex-wife, mother of my child, he's crowning her a jewel in his life.
50 Cent has built an entire reputation on one thing. When someone takes a shot at him, he shoots back even harder. That's why the internet is completely confused right now. Because after Daphne Joy, the mother of 50 Cent's son, was spotted spending time with DJ Akademiks, social media exploded with reactions, memes, and nonstop speculation. Everyone expected 50 to respond immediately, but instead, silence. And that's exactly where things started getting interesting. As fans waited for 50 Cent to break his silence, another familiar face jumped into conversation: Rick Ross. Instead of staying on the sidelines, Ross used a viral situation as an opportunity to take fresh shots at his longtime rival. What started as a discussion about Akademiks and Daphne Joy suddenly turned into another chapter of one of hip-hop's most legendary feuds. Now, people are asking some serious questions. Is 50 Cent staying quiet because he's protecting his son from more public drama? Is he carefully planning his next move behind the scenes? Or has Rick Ross finally found a situation that even 50 doesn't want to touch? The comments coming from all sides have only made things messier. Ray Daniels says he's shocked 50 hasn't gone nuclear. Akademiks continues to trend across social media. Rick Ross is throwing fuel on the fire, and fans are split down the middle over what happens next. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The longer 50 Cent stays silent, the bigger the situation becomes. Every podcast is talking about it. Every blog is covering it. And now some people believe that 50's silence might actually be more dangerous than any response he could make. So what really happened between Daphne Joy, Akademiks, Rick Ross, and 50 Cent? And why is this latest controversy creating so much attention across the hip-hop world? Let's break it all down. The latest controversy surrounding 50 Cent, Daphne Joy, DJ Akademiks, and Rick Ross has once again reminded everyone why hip-hop remains one of the most talked about industries in entertainment. What started as social media speculation quickly turned into a viral discussion that spread across podcasts, live streams, blogs, and comment sections. Within days, fans were debating not only the rumored connection between Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks, but also why 50 Cent, a man known for his relentless online trolling, chose to remain unusually quiet. For years, 50 Cent has built a reputation as one of the most fearless personalities in hip-hop. Whether he's responding to rivals, commenting on celebrity scandals, or turning internet drama into entertainment, he has rarely been known to stay silent when his name is connected to a trending story. His social media presence alone has generated countless headlines, and many fans have come to expect a reaction from him whenever a controversial topic emerges. That expectation is exactly what made the situation different. The discussion began gaining traction after reports and online rumors suggested that DJ Akademiks had been spending time with Daphne Joy, the mother of 50 Cent's son. Almost immediately, social media users started connecting the dots and speculating about how 50 Cent might react. Memes flooded platforms such as X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Some users joked that 50 was preparing one of his legendary responses, while others believed he was simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the conversation continued growing, many content creators and commentators began sharing their own theories. Among them was music executive and media personality Ray Daniels, who openly admitted that he was surprised by 50 Cent's silence. According to Daniels, the version of 50 Cent that fans have watched for years would normally have responded immediately. Instead, days passed without the explosive reaction many expected. This unexpected silence became a story of its own. Some observers suggested that 50 Cent was intentionally avoiding the topic because of his son, since Daphne, Joy, and 50 share a child together. Many people argued that publicly attacking or mocking the situation could create unnecessary complications for the family. Others believe that 50 was simply being strategic and choosing not to give additional attention to a story that was already dominating social media discussions. Regardless of the reason, the lack of a response created a vacuum that others were eager to fill. One of those people was Rick Ross. To understand why Rick Ross becoming involved attracted so much attention, it is important to remember the history between him and 50 Cent. Their rivalry is considered one of the longest-running feuds in modern hip-hop. Over the years, both artists have exchanged insults through interviews, songs, social media posts, and public appearances. Their back-and-forth battles have produced countless headlines and have often resurfaced whenever either artist becomes involved in a controversy. Unlike many rap feuds that eventually fade away, the tension between Rick Ross and 50 Cent has continued for years. Even during periods when neither artist appeared to be actively targeting the other, the rivalry remained part of hip-hop culture. Fans became accustomed to seeing one side respond whenever the other made news. That history explains why many people were not surprised when Rick Ross decided to weigh in on the latest situation. As discussions surrounding Daphne, Joy, and DJ Akademiks continue to trend online, Rick Ross reportedly used the opportunity to take additional shots at 50 Cent. His comments quickly circulated across social media, reigniting old debates about which artists had achieved more success, who had the stronger legacy, and who was winning their ongoing public battle. Predictably, those remarks generated even more reactions. Supporters of Rick Ross argued that he was simply expressing his opinion and taking advantage of a major news cycle. Meanwhile, supporters of 50 Cent claimed that Ross was using another person's controversy to remain relevant and draw attention to himself. As a result, the conversation expanded far beyond the original story and evolved into a broader discussion about rivalries, loyalty, family, and public image. Adding another layer to the situation was DJ Akademiks himself. For more than a decade, Akademiks has been one of the most influential voices in hip-hop media. Through live streams, podcasts, interviews, and social media platforms, he has become a central figure in discussions involving artists, record labels, and industry drama. His ability to generate headlines has made him both influential and controversial. Because of his massive online presence, any story involving Akademiks tends to attract significant attention. Once his name became connected to Daphne Joy, fans immediately recognized potential for controversy. Many believe that the situation was almost guaranteed to produce a reaction from 50 Cent, especially given Akademiks' reputation for discussing industry drama in great detail. Yet, that reaction never came. As days passed, public curiosity only increased. Every new podcast episode, live stream clip, and social media post seemed to generate another wave of discussion. Commentators debated whether 50 Cent's silence represented maturity, strategic thinking, or simply a lack of interest. Others argued that the internet was creating a much bigger story than the actual facts justified. At the center of all these conversations remained one simple question: why was 50 Cent staying quiet? The answer remains unclear. What is clear, however, is that the situation has once again demonstrated how quickly celebrity stories can spread in the digital age.
Curtis. You're so infatuated with my lifestyle.
Rose, the history with you and 50, is it better now? You guys now friends? Like, do you guys talk now, or is it still no relationship?
Nah, homie, Wash. We've never been cool.
From day one?
No.
This is a big business you guys are a part of. You guys are two of the heavyweights in the business.
I mean, what is there to talk about?
A lot of things to talk about. History, The beef.
What kind of history? That he couldn't dress. That's all I used to tell him. Yo, you can't dress. You're not really getting no money. You don't own your masters. Eminem saved you. Dr. Dre saved you. All the big names. Rose did it himself. I came in through slip and slide. I had to build this myself. And I'm not speaking down on him because he live in a 2-bedroom apartment, but
He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment.
2-bedroom. Catch the alley hoop now. You got him one by Yama, this bitch.
2-bedroom apartment.
Yes, he does. And if he does, what does that say about him? Come on now. Just the alley hoop. Come on now. What does it say about him?
You're saying 50 lives in a 2-bedroom. He just did a big documentary on Diddy that blew up. It was a #1 documentary for like weeks.
A single rumor, photograph, or public appearance can trigger millions of views, thousands of comments, and endless speculation from fans around the world. Whether this controversy eventually fades away or develops into something even bigger remains to be seen. What began as rumors involving Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks has now evolved into a story involving 50 Cent's silence, Rick Ross criticism, and renewed attention on one of hip-hop's most famous rivalries. And as history has shown, whenever 50 Cent and Rick Ross find themselves connected to the same headline, the hip-hop world pays very close attention. Just when fans thought the story couldn't get any bigger, the situation took a dramatic turn. At first, the entire conversation revolved around one question. Would 50 Cent respond to the reports linking Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks? Across social media, thousands of people were waiting for the moment when 50 would finally post something. After all, this was the same 50 Cent who had built an entire reputation on turning controversy into entertainment. For years, he had been one of the most active and unpredictable personalities in hip-hop. If someone mentioned his name, he usually had a response. If a rival made a comment, he often fired back. If a celebrity found themselves caught in a scandal, there was always a chance that 50 would jump into the conversation. That's why his silence felt unusual. As the days passed, fans became increasingly curious. Some believed he was quietly preparing a response behind the scenes. Others thought he was intentionally staying away from the story because his son could eventually be affected by the public attention. Whatever the reason, the internet continued talking, analyzing, and speculating. Then came the first major twist. Instead of 50 Cent becoming the center of the conversation, Rick Ross suddenly inserted himself into the story. For longtime hip-hop fans, that development wasn't entirely surprising. The feud between Rick Ross and 50 Cent stretches back many years and has survived multiple eras of rap music. Their rivalry has produced diss records, interviews, social media exchanges, and countless public insults. Whenever one of them becomes part of a major headline, the other often finds a way to enter the discussion. This time was no different. As the tension surrounding Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks continued to grow, Rick Ross reportedly used the opportunity to criticize 50 Cent once again. What could have remained a celebrity gossip story suddenly transformed into something much larger. The focus shifted away from a rumor date into a renewed chapter in one of hip-hop's most famous feuds. The timing immediately caught people's attention. Many observers wondered why Ross felt the need to comment at all. Some argued that he was simply doing what rivals do, taking advantage of a moment when the spotlight was already shining on his opponent. Others believed he genuinely wanted to challenge the public perception surrounding 50 Cent. Whatever his motivation, his remarks quickly spread across blogs, reaction channels, podcasts, and social media platforms. The internet reacted exactly the way many expected. Supporters of Rick Ross celebrated his willingness to speak openly. They argued that Ross had never been afraid to challenge powerful figures in the music industry. In their view, he was continuing a rivalry that had defined part of modern hip-hop culture. Meanwhile, supporters of 50 Cent saw the situation differently. They accused Ross of chasing attention and using another person's personal situation to create headlines. To them, Ross wasn't adding anything meaningful to the conversation. Instead, they believed he was attempting to benefit from a story that was already trending worldwide. The debate quickly intensified. Every new reaction generated another wave of comments. Podcasts discussed it. Live streamers analyzed it. YouTube channels broke down every statement and every possible interpretation. The situation had evolved far beyond its original starting point. Yet another unexpected element emerged during the discussion. Many people began focusing less on what Rick Ross was saying and more on what 50 Cent wasn't saying. Normally, a public attack from Ross would be enough to trigger some kind of response. Fans had become accustomed to seeing 50 engage with critics almost immediately. But despite the growing attention, he remained silent. That silence became increasingly difficult to ignore. In fact, some commentators argued that 50's refusal to respond was actually changing the dynamics of the feud. Traditionally, public rivalries operate on a simple cycle. One side attacks, the other side responds, and the exchange continues until the audience loses interest. But when one side refuses to participate, the entire situation becomes more complicated. Suddenly, people started asking whether silence could be more effective than confrontation. Instead of creating another viral argument, 50's lack of engagement allowed the conversation to shift toward speculation. Nobody knew what he was thinking. Nobody knew whether he was planning a response. Nobody knew if he even cared. That uncertainty made the story even more interesting. The longer he stayed quiet, the more theories appeared online. Some believed he was taking a more mature approach than he would have years ago. Others suggested he had learned that not every controversy deserves attention. A few even argued that responding would only increase publicity for everyone else involved. At the same time, critics claimed that silence shouldn't automatically be interpreted as strategy. According to that viewpoint, people were simply projecting their own theories onto a situation they didn't fully understand. The result was a fascinating shift in public perception. The story was no longer about whether Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks had spent time together. The story was no longer even about Rick Ross comments. The story had become about anticipation. Everyone was waiting for the next move. Every day without a response made the situation feel bigger. Every new podcast discussing the controversy added another layer of mystery. Every social media post from the people involved was analyzed for hidden meaning. Then another factor started influencing the conversation. Many fans pointed out that 50 Cent's relationship with Daphne Joy had ended years ago. In fact, more than a decade had passed since they were together romantically. That raised an important question. Why were so many people expecting him to react in the first place? The answer appeared to be connected to reputation. Over the years, 50 had created an image of someone who rarely ignored controversy. Because of that history, audiences assumed he would respond regardless of how much time had passed. But what if that assumption was wrong? What if the public had become so accustomed to seeing conflict that they couldn't imagine a scenario where someone simply chose not to participate? That possibility created another split among fans. One side argued that a response was inevitable. They believed 50 was simply waiting for the perfect opportunity. The other side argued that there might never be a response at all. As the debate continued, the attention surrounding the story reached another level. Articles, reaction videos, live stream clips, and social media discussions kept pushing the controversy back into people's feeds. What started as rumors had become a major hip-hop talking point. What started as curiosity had become a debate about loyalty, family, reputation, strategy, and rivalry. And through it all, the biggest twist remained unchanged. Rick Ross was talking. The internet was talking. DJ Akademiks was trending. Fans were arguing. But 50 Cent remained silent. And sometimes, silence creates more tension than any response ever could. That silence would ultimately set the stage for the next phase of the controversy. One that would raise even bigger questions about old rivalries, public image, and whether 50 Cent was truly staying out of drama or simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Just when it seemed like the controversy had reached its peak, the story took another unexpected turn. By this point, the internet wasn't simply talking about Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks anymore. The conversation had evolved into something much bigger. What began as speculation about a rumored date had transformed into a full-scale debate involving 50 Cent, Rick Ross, hip-hop media personalities, social media influencers, and millions of fans trying to figure out what was really happening behind the scenes. The biggest reason for that shift was simple. Nobody could understand 50 Cent's silence. Every day that passed without a response created even more questions. For years, fans had watched 50 build an image as one of the most aggressive and entertaining personalities in hip-hop. He had never been known for avoiding confrontation. In fact, many of his most viral moments came from his willingness to publicly challenge rivals, critics, and celebrities. Yet this situation was different. Instead of posting jokes, creating memes, or launching a public attack, he remained completely quiet. That silence caused people to search for answers. Some believed he was protecting his son from unnecessary public embarrassment. Others argued that he was carefully studying the situation before making a move. Meanwhile, another group believed that the entire internet had misread the situation from the beginning, and that 50 simply didn't care enough to respond. As those theories spread, media personality Ray Daniels added fuel to the conversation. During discussions about the controversy, Daniels repeatedly expressed surprise that 50 had not reacted. From his perspective, the version of 50 Cent that the public had known for years would normally have turned a situation like this into a social media event. Daniels suggested that something was clearly different. That observation quickly gained traction. The more people discussed it, the more attention shifted away from the alleged date itself and toward 50's unusual behavior. Instead of asking what Daphne, Joy, and Akademiks were doing, fans started asking what 50 Cent was planning. And that's when the most surprising revelation began to emerge. Many observers started connecting the situation to something that had been overlooked from the beginning: time. More than a decade had passed since 50 Cent and Daphne Joy were in a relationship. That fact changed the entire perspective. For years, celebrity culture had trained audiences to expect drama whenever former partners became connected to new headlines. But in this case, some fans began questioning whether those expectations made any sense. Why should 50 Cent be expected to respond to the personal choices of someone he had not been romantically involved with for over 10 years? The question spread rapidly across social media. Suddenly, people who had initially demanded a response were reconsidering their position. Even some critics admitted that the public might be placing unrealistic expectations on the situation. That realization became one of the biggest turning points in the story. The narrative was no longer centered on whether 50 would react. Instead, the conversation shifted toward whether he should react at all. For some fans, the answer was obvious. They argued that the relationship ended long ago and that 50 had every right to ignore the situation completely. Others disagreed. They pointed out that because Daphne Joy is a mother of his son, public controversies involving her inevitably become connected to him in the eyes of the public. According to that perspective, complete separation was impossible regardless of how much time had passed. The disagreement created another wave of online debate. Then came another shocking development. As the controversy continued spreading, old rivalries began resurfacing. Clips from previous interviews, social media exchanges, and public feuds started circulating again. Discussions that originally focused on Daphne Joy and Akademiks suddenly expanded into broader conversations about 50 Cent's history with Rick Ross, Diddy, and various other figures in the entertainment industry. It was as if one story had opened the door to multiple older conflicts. Everywhere people looked, new connections were being made. Some commentators argued that the viral attention surrounding the situation had less to do with the alleged date and more to do with the history attached to everyone involved. The names alone were enough to generate headlines. 50 Cent, Rick Ross, DJ Akademiks, Daphne Joy. Each person brought years of public history, controversy, and media attention into the discussion. That combination guaranteed that the story would continue growing. At the same time, another reality became impossible to ignore. The internet itself was helping keep the controversy alive. Every reaction video generated new reactions. Every podcast clip created another round of debate. Every social media post inspired thousands of additional comments. Even people who normally paid little attention to celebrity news found themselves discussing the situation. The cycle became self-sustaining. One person shared an opinion. Another person responded. Then someone reacted to the response. Before long, entirely new storylines were being created from speculation alone. That phenomenon revealed something important about modern celebrity culture. In today's digital world, a story no longer needs major developments to remain relevant. Sometimes public curiosity is enough to keep a headline alive for weeks. The controversy surrounding Daphne Joy, DJ Akademiks, Rick Ross, and 50 Cent became a perfect example of that reality. Yet the most surprising part remained unchanged. Despite all the headlines, all the reactions, and all the speculation, there was still no major response from 50 Cent. That absence continued to dominate the conversation. Some viewed it as discipline. Others viewed it as strategy. A few even described it as a power move. The argument was simple. When everyone expects you to react, refusing to react can become the strongest statement of all. Whether that interpretation is correct remains impossible to know. What is clear, however, is that 50's silence managed to accomplish something few people expected. Instead of ending the story, it made the story even bigger. The internet became obsessed with finding meaning where none had been explicitly provided. Fans searched for clues. Commentators developed theories. Critics offered explanations. Supporters defended his approach. Meanwhile, the mystery only deepened, and that mystery ultimately became the biggest reveal of the entire controversy. The real story was never just about a rumor date. It was never just about Rick Ross taking shots at a longtime rival. It was never just about social media gossip. The real story was about expectations. Millions of people expected a reaction. Millions of people expected another chapter in a familiar feud. Millions of people expected 50 Cent to do what he had done so many times before. Instead, he did nothing. And somehow, that decision created even more headlines than a response ever could. With tensions continuing to rise and the public still waiting for answers, the controversy was now heading toward its final stage, where questions about reputation, legacy, and the future of these rivalries would become impossible to ignore. As the controversy continued spreading across the internet, the reaction from fans, media personalities, content creators, and members of the hip-hop community became almost as important as the story itself. What had started as speculation surrounding Daphne, Joy, and DJ Akademiks had now evolved into a major discussion involving 50 Cent's silence, Rick Ross criticism, and the broader culture of celebrity drama in the social media era. One of the first things that became clear was how divided public opinion had become. On one side were fans who believed that 50 Cent's silence was intentional and strategic. These supporters argued that people were underestimating his experience in dealing with public controversies. After spending decades in the spotlight, 50 had seen countless stories come and go. According to this viewpoint, he understood that not every situation deserved a response. Many of these supporters pointed to his history in the entertainment business. They argued that someone with 50's experience knows how quickly internet trends can disappear. Rather than feeding the controversy with a reaction, they believed he was allowing the story to burn itself out naturally. Others viewed the situation very differently. Critics questioned whether silence should automatically be interpreted as a calculated strategy. Some argued that fans were creating theories simply because they expected 50 Cent to be several steps ahead of everyone else. In their opinion, it was entirely possible that he simply had no interest in discussing the matter publicly. This disagreement quickly became one of the biggest debates surrounding the controversy. Meanwhile, podcasts and live streams began analyzing every possible angle of the situation. Hip-hop commentators spent hours discussing why 50 had not responded. Some suggested that family considerations were influencing his decision. Others believed that responding would only increase attention on people who were already benefiting from publicity. The more these discussions continued, the more attention the story received. Reaction channels on YouTube uploaded breakdowns examining every detail. Social media users created clips, memes, and commentary posts. Popular accounts on X and Instagram shared their opinions, generating thousands of comments from supporters and critics alike. In many ways, the controversy became a perfect example of how modern media operates. A single story no longer remains confined to one platform. Instead, it spreads across multiple ecosystems simultaneously. A podcast discussion becomes a viral clip. A viral clip becomes a social media debate. That debate becomes a YouTube video. The YouTube video creates another discussion, which then returns to social media. The cycle repeats itself continuously. As a result, even relatively small developments can generate enormous levels of attention. Industry observers also began weighing in. Some music commentators argued that the situation highlighted the growing influence of personalities like DJ Akademiks. Over the years, Akademiks has evolved from an online commentator into one of the most influential figures in hip-hop media. His ability to shape conversations and generate headlines means that almost any story involving him is likely to attract significant attention. For those observers, the controversy wasn't just about celebrity relationships or personal drama. It was also about the changing power dynamics within hip-hop media. Traditional outlets no longer control every major narrative. Independent personalities, streamers, podcasters, and content creators now play a major role in shaping public discussions. That reality became increasingly obvious as the story continued developing. At the same time, Rick Ross' involvement generated another layer of reactions. Supporters of Ross praised him for refusing to stay silent. They argued that he was doing exactly what rivals in hip-hop have always done, taking advantage of opportunities to challenge competitors and keep ongoing feuds alive. To these fans, Ross' comments were simply another chapter in a rivalry that has entertained hip-hop audiences for years. Others disagreed strongly. Critics accused Ross of attempting to insert himself into a controversy that wasn't originally about him. They argued that his comments shifted attention away from the actual story and transformed the discussion into another round of personal attacks. That criticism only fueled more debate. Every opinion seemed to create an equal and opposite reaction. One person would defend Ross, another would defend 50. Someone else would criticize both. The result was an endless stream of content that kept the story alive far longer than many people expected. Interestingly, some of the strongest reactions came from people who questioned why the controversy existed in the first place. These individuals pointed out that 50 Cent and Daphne Joy ended their relationship many years ago. From their perspective, expecting him to comment on her personal life after such a long period seemed unreasonable. That argument gained momentum as more people discussed the timeline. Many social media users expressed confusion about why audiences continue connecting former partners long after relationships have ended. They argue that celebrity culture often creates unrealistic expectations regarding how public figures should respond to events involving people from their past. For these observers, the controversy revealed something larger about internet culture itself. They believe that audiences have become conditioned to expect conflict, reactions, and public drama. Whenever a familiar name appears in a headline, many people immediately begin anticipating a response, regardless of whether one is actually necessary. This perspective introduced a more thoughtful dimension to the discussion. Instead of focusing solely on gossip, some commentators began examining broader questions about privacy, public expectations, and social media behavior. At the same time, the entertainment industry was watching closely. Public controversies have always played a role in music culture, but the speed at which stories now spread has fundamentally changed the environment. Artists, executives, managers, and media personalities understand that a viral story can dominate public attention within hours. Because of that reality, many industry observers paid close attention to how the situation unfolded. Some believe 50 Cent's silence demonstrated an understanding of modern media cycles. Others argued that his reputation alone guaranteed attention, regardless of whether he spoke publicly. Either way, the controversy highlighted his continued influence within popular culture. Even without making a major statement, he remained at the center of the discussion. That fact impressed many observers. In an era where public figures often feel pressure to respond immediately to every controversy, 50's refusal to engage became a story in itself. Whether intentional or not, his silence generated almost as much conversation as a direct response would have. As the days passed, one thing became increasingly clear. The public reaction had evolved beyond the original rumor. The industry reaction had expanded beyond a simple celebrity headline. What began as speculation involving Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks had transformed into a much larger discussion about reputation, influence, media power, social media culture, and the expectations placed upon public figures. And while opinions remained divided, there was one point that almost everyone could agree on. The controversy had successfully captured the attention of the hip-hop world. From fans and commentators to podcasters and industry insiders, everyone seemed to have an opinion. The debates continued growing, the theories continued spreading, and the questions continued piling up. Yet despite all the noise, the central mystery remained unresolved. Would 50 Cent eventually break his silence? Or had his silence already become the most powerful response of all? Just when it seemed like the controversy was finally beginning to cool down, a surprising realization started changing the entire narrative. For weeks, social media had been focused on the same questions. Why wasn't 50 Cent responding? Was Rick Ross trying to provoke him? What did DJ Akademiks' connection to Daphne Joy really mean? Every podcast, live stream, reaction video, and comment section seemed obsessed with finding answers. Yet the more people talked about the situation, the more obvious something became. Everyone was focusing on the reaction they expected to happen rather than the reality that was actually unfolding. That's where the final twist begins. Throughout his career, 50 Cent has built a reputation around unpredictability. Fans often think they know exactly how he's going to respond, only to discover he had an entirely different plan. His success in both music and business has frequently come from understanding something many people overlook. Attention is a form of currency. Most public figures fight to get attention. Most celebrities want their names trending. Most artists want people discussing them. But what happens when someone already understands how the game works better than almost everyone else? Some observers began suggesting that the biggest mistake people were making was assuming that silence meant weakness. In reality, silence can be incredibly powerful. Think about what happened throughout this entire controversy. Rick Ross spoke. Media personalities offered opinions. Fans debated endlessly. Blogs published articles. Reaction channels created content. Social media users generated millions of impressions discussing every possible outcome. And through all of it, 50 Cent barely had to do anything. His name remained at the center of the conversation without him actively participating. For many industry observers, that became the most fascinating aspect of the story. Normally, public feuds require both sides to continue exchanging shots in order to stay relevant. But in this case, the controversy continued growing even without direct involvement from the person everyone wanted to hear from. That led to another theory. What if 50 Cent had already won the battle by refusing to play the game everyone expected him to play? The idea quickly gained traction online. Supporters argued that every new discussion only reinforces influence. Critics, rivals, commentators, and fans all continued talking about him despite receiving almost no new information from him directly. From that perspective, the silence wasn't creating a problem. The silence was creating curiosity. And curiosity is one of the most powerful forces in entertainment. The less people knew, the more they wanted answers. The more they wanted answers, the more they talked. The more they talked, the larger the story became. Suddenly, the controversy wasn't being driven by facts or developments anymore. It was being driven by anticipation. People were waiting for a post, waiting for a live stream, waiting for an interview, waiting for a response, waiting for something that might never come. That possibility created the biggest twist of all. What if there was no response coming? What if the internet had spent weeks building expectations around an event that was never going to happen? For some fans, that idea felt impossible to accept. They had followed 50 Cent's career for years and believed the response was inevitable. Others started thinking the exact opposite. They argued that refusing to respond was the response. Meanwhile, Rick Ross remained part of the conversation. His comments continued generating reactions, but many observers noticed something interesting. The more people discussed Ross' remarks, the more the attention seemed to return to 50 Cent anyway. Even when Ross was speaking, audiences were still asking the same question. What is 50 thinking? That question became the story. Not Daphne Joy, not Akademiks, not even Rick Ross. The mystery surrounding 50 Cent's silence became the headline itself. And perhaps that's why this controversy lasted so much longer than anyone expected. The internet loves answers. But sometimes unanswered questions create even more engagement. As the weeks passed, another reality emerged. This entire situation revealed just how much influence 50 Cent still holds within hip-hop culture and entertainment media. Whether people support him or criticize him, they continue paying attention to what he does. Or, in this case, what he doesn't do. Very few public figures can remain silent and still dominate the conversation. That level of influence isn't easy to achieve. It's built over years of headlines, rivalries, business success, music achievements, and cultural relevance. The fact that millions of people were still waiting for a reaction demonstrated that his presence remains powerful even when he's not actively participating. And that's where the story leaves us. The feud with Rick Ross continues to exist. The discussion surrounding Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks continue generating opinions. Fans continue debating whether 50 Cent handled the situation perfectly or missed an opportunity to respond. But the final answer remains unknown. Will 50 eventually break his silence and address everything directly? Is he waiting for the right moment? Has he already decided the situation isn't worth his attention? Or was his silence always intended to become the biggest statement of all? Right now, nobody outside of 50 Cent truly knows. And that's exactly what makes this story so compelling. Because in an era where everyone rushes to post, comment, react, and explain themselves, one of hip-hop's most famous personalities chose a completely different path. He said nothing. Yet somehow, that silence created one of the biggest conversations in hip-hop. For now, the internet continues watching. The fans continue waiting. The theories continue spreading. And the next chapter could arrive at any moment. Because if history has taught hip-hop fans anything, it's this. Whenever people think they've figured out 50 Cent's next move, that's usually when the biggest surprise is still waiting around the corner. So what do you think about this entire situation? Was 50 Cent making a smart move by staying silent while everyone else kept talking? Or do you think he should have responded the moment Daphne Joy and DJ Akademiks started trending online? And when it comes to Rick Ross jumping into the conversation, was he simply taking advantage of a viral moment? Or was he genuinely speaking his mind? There's no doubt that this story has divided hip-hop fans everywhere. Some people believe 50's silence shows maturity and strategic thinking. Others think it only encouraged more speculation and allowed the controversy to grow bigger than it should have. Meanwhile, Rick Ross' comments have added another layer to an already complicated situation, keeping one of rap's longest-running rivalries firmly in the spotlight. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe 50 Cent is still planning a response? Or do you think he's completely moved on from the situation? If he does eventually speak out, what do you think he'll say? And who do you think handled this controversy better? 50 Cent, Rick Ross, or DJ Akademiks? Drop your thoughts in the comment below and let's start the conversation. We read every comment and love seeing different perspectives from hip-hop fans around the world. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more updates on the biggest stories, rivalries, and behind-the-scenes drama in hip-hop, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And don't forget to share this video with friends who follow rap culture, because this debate is far from over. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video with more breaking news, viral stories, and everything happening in the world of hip-hop.